Hey viewers, welcome to Chunner Checks It Out. My name's Chunner, and in this video, I'm going to be watching Anohana episode 11. This looks like it's going to be the last episode, and so I'm assuming we're going to actually figure out what happened on that day when Menma died, and possibly get some closure with this group of people. So, yo, let's check it out.
メンマは消えなかった。花火が上がっても。
誘ってくれてありがとうございました。
気をつけて。
何？迎えに来てくれたの？
ママ、残念だったね。なんか違うお願いだったのかもね。だってテレビでね、最近ね、
There's a new show that I want to watch.
じゃあ今から出てきてくれよ。メンマには気づかれないように。こりゃ一体どうしてメンマは成仏しなかったと思う？
メンマが成仏しなかったのは願いが違ったからなんかじゃない。ちゃんとメンマのお願いが叶いますようにって。私は自分のことしか考えてなかった。メンマのこと考え続けるジンタン見てたくなかったから。
Now it's this sick, vicious cycle of them blaming themselves again for all the faults that they did wrong for Menma, when it's really not even their fault. You're putting all this imaginary pressure on yourself, and you need to get out of this cycle.
俺だって同じだ。俺はメンマが好きだ。
Sudoku, you already knew that.
本音隠すのやめなよ。雪圧に言いたいことある。
おい鶴見。
こないだと同じよ。私は違わない。雪圧が好きだからメンマが羨ましいからってメンマを成仏させようとしたくせに。
Yukiyatsu had no
羨
idea.
ましくなってない。だって最初からメンマになって叶わないって分かってたもの。私はあなたと違う。叶わない夢なんて見ない。私がずっと昔からずっと羨ましかったのはあなたよ、アナル。あの日あなたたちがシンタンの気持ち確かめようとしてるって。
メンマ知ってたのか？
メンマはジンタンだけじゃなくてみんなが大好きだからな。
Was she doing some kind of balancing thing and then fell off the bridge? Is that what happened to Menma?
でもやっぱり今も雪圧の隣には
鶴子。
咲いてるよ。私は
I mean, this is what needed to happen right now, is that they all just needed to admit their feelings. Although, with Tsuruko and Yukiyatsu, they both literally had zero contact with Naruko after they stopped seeing each other, whereas Jinta and Naruko still at least had some contact because they were going to the same school. But Yukiyatsu and Tsuruko weren't even going to the same school, and they literally never even saw each other. Yukiyatsu and Naruko would never have met in the first place. I mean, they were friends in school or back during that time, but like they said, they all drifted apart, and they literally never even saw each other for potentially years.
どうしたのポッポ。
Did Popo like Menma as well?
出なきゃ。メンマは俺を許しちゃくれねえんだよ。
Of course, he has some kind of thing going on too, but we still don't know his story.
俺メンマが行っちまうとこ。
They actually all didn't even know what happened to Menma, aside from the fact that she drowned, supposedly, or fell into the water, supposedly. They just keep showing her shoe floating in the water, so you assume that she drowned, but they don't exactly specifically say that. It's saying now that maybe Popo hid the fact that he was the only one that actually witnessed what happened. And now he's saying, I'm assuming that he should have done something about it when he probably couldn't have done anything.
逃げ出したいのになんかどうしても出ていけなくて、みんなの基地に住んじゃったりしてよ。高校行かずに世界に遠くに行きゃ変わるって思ったんだよ。頼むからお前らメンマを成仏させてやってくれよ。なれない。目の前でどんどん行っちまう。遠くなっちまうメンマが。
It's just completely haunting for him.
メンマの願いを真剣に考えてやれなくて、メンマごめんな。
もういいかい、まだだよ。
トウコさんただいま。昼間ね、
ジンタが超平和バスターズのみんなと一緒にいたよ。
シンタなんかもうどうでもいい。メンマにちゃんと謝って。そんで
アナル、
何よ。
まつげ2つある。
やだつけま。ちょっとユキハツ、もうありがとう。でもアナル言うな。
みんなあだ名に戻ってんな。
と
It's like
ユ
they
キヤ
all
ツの言っ
needed
た通
that.
りなんだ。俺だけじゃなくみんなとちゃんと喋りたいって。だから成仏して生まれ変わりたいって。メンマと一緒にもう一度頼むぜリーダー。メンマ
メンマのお願いね、もう叶っちゃってたみたい。メンマ思い出したの。ジンタンのおばさんとお約束したこと。
ジンタは泣かないの。多分私がこうなっちゃったから、本当はもっと笑ったり怒ったり泣いたりしてほしかったな。
メンマ約束する。ジンタン絶対泣かす。
じゃあお願いしようかな。
けどね、すっごく考えたんだけど、メンマどうしていいか全然わかんなくって、あの日。でもやっぱりうまくいかなかった。ジンタンまた泣いた。でもね、メンマ本当はジンタンの笑った顔が好き。
待て、まだダメだ。待ってくれ。俺だけじゃダメなんだ。好きだって言いたかった。
ジンタン。
でもみんな同じだった。みんなお前が好きだった。お前の願い叶えたかった。
ジンタン大好き。
でもこんなに突然。メンマメンマメンマ。おいジンタン。メンマなんだよ、どこだ。早く出てこいよメンマ。
かくれんぼだよ。
かくれんぼってなんだよ。ジンタン。おい
メンマ
メンマ、かくれんぼしてんのか。おい俺らも行こう。
This is literally the same thing that happened during that day.
まだちゃんとお別れしなきゃ。まだもうちょっと。
これ日記のこの詩。メンマ
マジか。
今度はちゃんとお別れできたよ。
かくれんぼなんだろ。だったらお前見つけなきゃ終われねえだろ。もういいかい。
ねえジンタン、ちゃんと言って。
大好きだメンマ。
みんなと一緒にいたい。見つかっちゃった。
So that was a really sad episode, and I feel like finally everyone was able to say what they needed to when everyone was there. I feel like for me, it's really sad, especially when I see other people going through a hard time, really tough situations, and you have really sad music that comes in, and you're really invested in the story. And yeah, it was really sad. But I will say the story went in the direction that the author intended it to, I'm assuming. And I feel like the ending could have been done just a little bit better to have me more invested. And there's nothing wrong with that ending. That's, of course, author's choice. And I feel like, again, that was kind of sad for me just because I see other people being really sad and I'm invested in this story. But I feel like maybe if they expanded more on the Popo story and the Sudoku story, I feel like those two people never really had anything to be, or I feel like Tsuruko and Popo's story were not as invested as the others, where Yukiatsu had to start cross-dressing to deal with his issues. Jinta became a shut-in. Naruko started hanging out with other people who were not really like Naruko and maybe a little bit opposite personalities of Naruko. Whereas I feel like Tsuruko, of course, she always seemed to have liked Yukiatsu, but her personality I feel like never really changed. She never really showed, she always seemed to be kind of that reserved person. And so I feel like she, there was that one scene where she confessed her love or her liking to Yukiatsu, but there was nothing really there with Tsuruko. And same with Popo. Popo witnessed the actual event of having Menma die, and they didn't even go into that. Like, the story wasn't even focused on the fact that she died or how she died. It was more focused on the fact of the outcomes of the situation and the aftermath of the event. And I feel like if they went maybe more into that story, and I feel like Popo goes traveling the world, I'm still wondering about their age, as he said he got his shaman's license and he just went traveling instead of going to school. I'm wondering how old these people were. It seemed like maybe they were 16 or 17. And again, maybe he was 1 year older, so he could have been 18. But he said he was missing school, so that makes me think he was 16 or 17. And I'm wondering how you even get away with traveling at that age. You have to have licenses that you have to show, and adults are going to wonder about you potentially, and even just to find the place to stay. How do you do that? Obviously I feel like there's a few people that are in that situation, but it's harder for you to survive in that situation. And he seemed to be, he had his moped, he had a job, he was traveling, he had money to do all these things, so he wasn't a homeless person. Yeah, very interesting story. Of course, I knew that this story was going to be very sad from the start, and it was really sad. And I just feel like it could have been a little bit better. Obviously, you're dealing with spirits and a potential slice of life, so you want to stay within the basic realms of reality. So you have this kind of mysticism of whether Menma was real or not real, and you saw that developed throughout the situation, that she was actually able to manipulate objects, and you find out that maybe she was actually there. And in the end, they all got their feelings out, their regrets that they had off their chest to everyone, and they were able to speak it out loud. And even Menma was able to communicate with them and actually have a goodbye. I think that's kind of what this story is more focused on, of Menma's life being taken too early from her and not having a actual farewell to everyone where that was taken from them. And kind of like what Menma's mom was saying, it was unfair for Menma to be taken so early, and Menma not even being able to grow up as a child because of this event that happens. Really emotional anime. I am not sure where I would rate this anime. It's hard to tell. But yeah, really emotional. So tell me what you think in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.